The second chapter introduces a brand new character and a character that's a little bit more dynamic. And I'll actually make some notes. I'll show you some things about chapter 1 that I am updating and that I'm kind of keeping in the back of my mind because I didn't love it. I just started writing and wanted to see where it took me. That's great. I got some things out. What I need to do is make it better. And so I've done that. So I'll give a real quick synopsis without having to bore you and pour you through the changes. I will probably publish some of them. I think it might be interesting to just kind of keep the first somewhat polished version that I put up, which is always edited, but as you write, you make changes, you decide that you're missing something, or you realize you want to sort of go in a different direction, or you want the main character, I almost said customer or user because day job is not writing, the main character or the characters to be better. Because of that, you make changes. Nonetheless, what I try to put out will be or what I put out will be somewhat edited, will definitely be edited, somewhat refined, although large chunks may. All right, so let's get to the basic updates. I'm going to slideshow this, even though it's only 3 slides, the first one being the title slide. All right, so the key updates I did, I started the first chapter in first person. I don't know why. You're not really supposed to do that. I did that. And then when I went back and read it after, I don't know, like maybe the 10th time, I realized how dumb it sounded and updated it after Googling and making sure that it was dumb, and indeed it was. I cleaned up some flowery language and descriptions, repetitive descriptions or descriptions that were just unnecessary, tried to make it a little bit more active, and chose better words all around. The main thing that I want to talk about, lingering annoyances now. So things that I want to, I just have in the back of my mind, but I haven't yet decided how I want to resolve them in the first chapter. For one, the first chapter I think is a little bit too passive. We get introduced to a main character who is, by definition, kind of like the setup about him is that he's way too passive and trying to let things happen to him and needs to be more active. If I were going to define the character arc right now, that's essentially one of the major changes. That will get fleshed out and made a lot more interesting, but for right now, it's pretty much main character is just an average guy who's letting things happen to him. He is in an interesting place and an interesting situation starts, but overall the chapter itself I think lacks the draw and excitement. So a couple of ideas that I put up here that I'm kind of mulling over is, so I'm reading 100 Years of Solitude right now. What I really like, and what I like the way certain books do it, and I think 100 Years of Solitude does it well. Like the first line is, I'm going to paraphrase, when, Jose Arcadia was, I think it's Jose Arcadia Buendia. Jose Arcadia. I don't remember which one because the names are too similar for me. When he was standing, at the firing squad, waiting for the shot, he remembered, blah, blah, blah. And that's how the story starts. So having that kind of sort of look ahead or like sort of a tag would be something that's analogous in, script writing, screenwriting. Having that at the start and maybe moving this chapter so it's the third chapter, but we initially see this character when he's further along, he's doing something active, or we see something that is described as kind of like the initiation, where someone, basically the thing that makes today unlike any other day and forces you to go off and do something new. So if you're familiar with like the hero's journey or just a lot of writing, something that causes you to change, and in particular for this main character, either that point or use, him doing something really exciting, draw the reader in that way, and then go to chapter 2 or go to this chapter, figure it out. So anyway, there are a lot of things that I'm mulling over and trying to figure out. I'm going to leave it as the first chapter for now because I may even, because the second chapter brings in a new character, I may even decide that his role is going to be different and maybe he'll take a subservient role to her. Who knows? So the other thing is, the very end, the character finds a SIM card. I don't think I'm ruining this for anyone, so I will give a spoiler. Character finds a SIM card in a deck of cards, and I hadn't thought about that while writing it because, like I said, I just started writing. However, you find a card in a card in a pack of cards. It's just too many uses of the word card, and I think it can be very confusing. So I don't know. I want to think about that. Even though it comes in at the very end, the actual SIM card, I I need to figure out if that's going to be an issue or not. Now those cards, it's not just a regular like 52 card, I don't know, European, American, whatever Western deck. It's a little bit different. So I'm going to say it's more analogous to tarot cards. I don't think that's actually a really accurate statement, but the cards have more meaning than just Jack, King, Queen to whatever. So there is something there that I'd like to carry through. There might be a better way to do it. And then again, I said, he's just generally not active enough and doesn't have much personality. And that's probably mostly because I started writing without a character in mind and writing the full chapter to get something interesting. I fleshed out pieces of him, but nothing that's so interesting that inherently you're going to be like, oh, I want to see what's going on with this guy. Oh, I should probably move this. Yeah. And he sounds like a loser. That's just mean. But I mean, I just didn't write him to have any qualities really. Too much telling and no showing. There are a couple instances where I relate back to why he's started off on this adventure that right now is not really much of an adventure. So again, like this is an opportunity maybe to pull the reader in with some actual context that happens on the train. And because he's basically falling asleep there, I could do the dream, I could do the thing where he's thinking about it and he feels like he's there and then he wakes himself up, but it's essentially the same thing as happened in reality, or he thinks he's talking to this person or whatever. But I have not done any of that. And how I resolve that, I will have to see. I think I want to give myself a few more chapters just to get more of the action in place, because what I've found so far is I've written 3 chapters. I've only put 1 out there, but with the other 2, I'm getting a better understanding of him as he relates to other people, as well as the other main character, who is going to be, I don't know their full relationship yet, but either they're going to be somewhat opposites of one another. Well, they're definitely somewhat opposite right now, but I don't know what their character arcs are, and I don't know how they're going to serve one another, how they're going to interact. So that may also just kind of dictate how I introduce him. Something cool that I'm going to show you when I switched from first person to second person, I did the old find and replace, which I do software development and expressions and do all that fun. I wasn't very smart about it here and I forgot to check for like whether there was a space after me apparently, because I changed me to him and that just made the him to Terrarian Coast, which I think is pretty funny. But we're going to change that. So there's definitely like him met. That's probably he'd yet to meet. Yeah. So there are some things. So all that to say, don't be an idiot like me. Just like there are some places where I do want the first person because it's his thought. All right. I will catch you in the next one. Stay thirsty, my friends.